Right now, half of Gen Z is spending over 4 hours a day on social media. But they aren't just, passively scrolling through dance trends or memes.
No, not at all.
They are systematically dismantling the traditional digital economy as we know it.
Yeah.
Forget the classic marketing funnel. Forget putting up a billboard, hoping someone takes the exit, and waiting for them to buy.
Right. That map is completely obsolete at this point.
Totally. So, welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a massive stack of recent market research today, just for you, pulling from GWI, Copink, Boston Consulting Group, Digital Applied, and Alter Agents.
It's a lot of data.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to really decode the purchasing habits of Gen Z buyers in 2026. Because what we're seeing in this data is that social proof, AI, and virtual shopping are just completely upending traditional search.
Yeah, the scale of this behavioral shift is really difficult to overstate. Gen Z now makes up 25% of the U.S. social media audience.
Wow, a quarter.
Exactly. And when you combine that sheer demographic weight with those 4 hours of daily screen time you mentioned, you just get an entirely new set of rules for commerce. The funnel as this sequential, predictable path of awareness, consideration, purchase, it's just dead.
Gone.
Completely dead. We have officially entered an era of nonlinear buying. Discovery is now powered by AI, and trust is built entirely through peers. Credibility is no longer just some, soft PR metric. It is the fundamental engine driving revenue.
And I think the most glaring casualty of this shift is traditional search. According to the research, 46% of Gen Z now use social media instead of search engines like Google or Bing.
That's almost half.
Half. And on top of that, an incredible 77% use TikTok specifically for product discovery. I was looking at those numbers, and it really highlights a massive frustration with the old internet.
Oh, absolutely.
Using a traditional search engine today feels like reading a corporate brochure. You search for something, and the first page is just SEO-optimized, polished content telling you exactly what a company wants you to know.
Right. It's highly sanitized.
Exactly. But searching on social media is like walking into a crowded room of friends and asking for advice. It's loud, it's messy, but it feels undeniably real.
The underlying psychology there is fascinating. I mean, this generation demands psychological validation before they even consider parting with their money.
Makes sense.
We're seeing a really deep-seated need for peer validation that outranks brand authority every single time. The sources actually show that 40% of Gen Z consumers trust influencers more today than they did a year ago.
Wait, more? Because I feel like influencer fatigue is a thing.
Well, the caveat is crucial here. They are heavily discounting polished, traditional celebrity endorsements.
Oh.
The trust flows almost entirely toward micro-influencers and UGC user-generated content. They want to see a real, flawed person using a product in a messy bedroom, not a celebrity on a soundstage.
All right, the messy bedroom aesthetic.
Exactly. It signals vulnerability, which reads as authenticity to them.
I mean, I hear that, but my immediate reaction is heavy skepticism. The internet is flooded with fake reviews, undisclosed sponsored posts, bots generating comments. Even that messy bedroom aesthetic is constantly being manufactured by agencies now.
No, for sure. It's a whole industry.
So how is Gen Z actually filtering through that noise to find authentic social proof? I feel like they have to be exhausting themselves just trying to figure out who is actually telling the truth.
Well, they've developed an incredibly refined radar for inauthenticity, and it has really driven them toward platforms that are structurally designed to punish it.
Punish inauthenticity, you mean?
Right. The data points directly to an explosion in Reddit usage for product research. 82% of Gen Z users say they explicitly trust Reddit for research and recommendations.
82% is a massive consensus.
It is huge. And it works because Reddit isn't just a room of friends. It's a room with an incredibly aggressive immune system.
That's a great way to put it.
The upvote and downvote mechanisms basically act like white blood cells attacking corporate jargon the second it enters the bloodstream.
Yes.
The architecture favors unmoderated, transparent peer review. So if a brand comes into a subreddit and sounds like a corporate brochure, the community will just tear them apart and bury the post. The users trust the platform because the platform empowers them to police the tone.
And it isn't just people looking for, the best moisturizer or a new pair of headphones. The sources highlight that 54% of Gen Z B2B software buyers are now researching products on Reddit before they even evaluate a vendor.
That stat is wild.
It completely shatters the traditional B2B playbook. You have enterprise tech buyers making multi-million-dollar decisions based on a forum thread from 2 years ago, long before the software company's sales team even knows they are in the market.
It really collapses the barrier between consumer behavior and professional behavior.
Oh, so
While a buyer doesn't suddenly change their entire psychological profile when they log into their work computer, they still want the unvarnished truth.
right, they're still the same person.
Exactly. They want to read what actual developers and IT professionals are complaining about rather than sitting through a sanitized software demo from a sales rep.
So we have this intense reliance on raw peer review and a deep aversion to corporate polish. How is that manifesting in their actual brand choices? Because the sources reveal a very surprising shift in sentiment regarding the biggest marketplace on the planet.
You're talking about Amazon.
Yes, we are seeing real Amazon fatigue. 47% of Gen Z shoppers are actively trying to shop less on Amazon, and 60% state that the corporation is simply too powerful.
That fatigue really represents a profound desire for diversification. They are exhibiting what behavioral economists call value-based segmentation.
Which means,
It means buying something isn't just a transaction for them, it's an extension of their identity. That's why 70% of Gen Z shoppers have bought from DTC or direct-to-consumer brands, which is the highest adoption rate of any generation.
70%? Wow.
Yeah. They are moving away from the everything store model because an everything store doesn't stand for anything specific. They are seeking out brands that align with their cultural and ethical values, things like sustainability, transparency, fair labor practices.
The research gives some brilliant examples of how DTC brands are capitalizing on this, actually. Take the skincare brand, Topicals.
Oh, they're a great example.
They really are. They aren't trying to emulate legacy beauty brands by hiring massive runway models or running glossy magazine ads. They build fierce, cult-like loyalty by directly compensating their UGC creators.
Which is so smart.
It is. They're essentially turning their own customer base into their marketing department, just paying their fans to make content. It bypasses the traditional ad agency entirely. And then you have Graza, the olive oil brand, in the squeeze bottle.
Graza is an absolute masterclass in abandoning the corporate voice.
Absolutely. They completely lean into acting like an internet personality.
Yes, totally.
Instead of talking about the heritage of their olive groves in this serious tone, they use chronically online meme-like humor. Like if you look at their social feeds, it reads like a funny, slightly absurd friend who just happens to be obsessed with olive oil.
And by stripping away that corporate veneer, they completely disarm the consumer's natural skepticism,
Right.
which builds an incredible reservoir of trust. But this actually brings us to one of the most fascinating paradoxes in the entire data stack.
Oh, the data privacy thing.
Yes. We just laid out how Gen Z is highly skeptical of massive monopolies, they demand ethical alignment, and they reject corporate surveillance.
Right.
Yet, despite that deep skepticism, 88% of Gen Z consumers willingly share their personal data with social media companies. They are actually significantly more likely to hand over their data than older generations.
It's such a wild contradiction. It's like saying, I fundamentally distrust your corporate motives, but here is my real-time location data, my entire browsing history, and a biometric scan of my face.
Exactly.
So why the massive disconnect?
It really comes down to a very pragmatic calculation, the ultimate trade-off of data for convenience.
Okay.
Gen Z views their personal data as a currency. They are fully aware these platforms are tracking them. They aren't naive about it.
Right. They grew up with it.
The difference is they view this tracking less as an invasion of privacy and more as a VIP concierge service.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they are willing to make the trade if it results in a perfectly curated, frictionless digital experience. They actually want the algorithm to know them better than they know themselves because it saves them time and cognitive load.
The concierge analogy makes perfect sense. They expect the internet to anticipate their needs, and they're completely comfortable with the heavy technology required to do that. Like the sources note, 65% are very familiar with AI, and 46% use it daily.
It's just a part of life.
Exactly. They aren't treating AI as a novelty or something to fear. It's an invisible utility layer they expect to be present everywhere.
And that expectation is completely revolutionizing how search and virtual shopping function, specifically through visual and spatial AI.
Right. Visual search is getting huge.
The numbers from Pinterest Lens are just staggering. They are processing over 380 million visual searches a month.
380 million. That's wow.
And the underlying AI can recognize 2.5 billion distinct product SKUs with 94.7% accuracy.
I was trying to picture how that works in real life, and it's just mind-blowing. Imagine you are sitting in a coffee shop and you see a fantastic mid-century modern lamp.
Right.
In the past, you'd have to open Google and try to guess the keywords like black metal lamp cone shaped brass base, and you'd scroll through pages of irrelevant results.
Getting more and more frustrated.
Yes, now you just snap a photo. The AI processes the image, matches it against 2.5 billion items instantly, and just drops a purchase link on your screen. It completely removes the friction of language.
Exactly.
The gap between inspiration and transaction goes from several minutes of frustrating searching to essentially 0 seconds.
That elimination of friction is really the holy grail of modern commerce. And when you stack spatial computing on top of visual search, the physical store becomes increasingly irrelevant.
Because you can just see it in your room.
Right. The research indicates 90% of Gen Z is interested in AR and VR shopping experiences. The ability to do a virtual try-on for glasses or see how a specific shade of makeup maps onto your actual face using AR in real time, it removes the final barrier of uncertainty that used to hold online shopping back.
So they can test the product, validate it with their peers, and buy it without ever leaving their couch.
Exactly.
But AI isn't just processing images, right? It's deeply embedded in how they process text and peer reviews, too. Like, think back to the Reddit discussion. The sources point out that Reddit Answers is handling 28 million queries a day.
That's a massive amount of volume.
It is. And generative AI is now reading through all those raw, messy community debates we talked about and synthesizing them into AI overviews.
The AI is essentially acting as a consensus engine here. Instead of a user having to read through, 400 comments to figure out if a certain laptop overheats, the generative AI evaluates the sentiment.
Which saves so much time.
Exactly. It spots the recurring complaints or praises and summarizes the social proof instantly. It takes the unstructured authenticity of a forum and structures it for immediate consumption.
Okay, let's bring this all together. If you are a digital marketing professional listening to this, or a brand trying to capture market share, the terrain sounds terrifying.
It can be daunting, yes.
How do you operate in an environment where your target demographic ignores traditional search engines, harbors a deep distrust for Amazon, relies on Reddit for truth, demands meme-level authenticity, and expects AI to read their minds?
Well, the Boston Consulting Group sources provide a highly actionable framework for navigating this. They call it the 4S behavior.
Okay, what are the 4 S's?
The S stands for streaming, scrolling, searching, and shopping. The critical insight for marketers is that these 4 behaviors are no longer distinct, isolated activities. They are happening simultaneously.
So you can't have a strategy for your scrolling content and a completely separate silo for your shopping mechanics.
Exactly the opposite. To win, campaigns have to collapse those silos. You must integrate frictionless checkout directly into the content itself.
Right.
If a user's scrolling and they see an influencer using your product, the mechanism to buy it needs to be natively embedded in that video. If your campaign requires them to, say, click a bio link, open a mobile browser, and manually input their credit card information, you've introduced friction, and you will lose the conversion.
And the targeting needs to be just as sophisticated, obviously. You can't just run a campaign aimed at women aged 18 to 24 and expect it to resonate anymore. We talked about value-based segmentation earlier.
Yeah.
So how does a brand actually figure out what their customers value without crossing the line into creepy surveillance?
By focusing on what the industry calls zero-party data. This goes right back to the VIP concierge dynamic we mentioned.
Okay, zero-party data. What is that exactly?
Zero-party data is information that a customer willingly and proactively hands over to a brand. You don't secretly scrape it. You ask for it through interactive quizzes or detailed preference centers.
Oh, I see.
Because Gen Z treats their data as currency, they will gladly tell you their ethical priorities, their skin type, or their aesthetic preferences, as long as they know you are going to use that data to serve them highly personalized, relevant content that aligns with their identity.
It's a transparent exchange of value. But even with the best data, the delivery mechanism matters immensely. The sources are incredibly clear on this. Gen Z despises disruptive advertising.
They absolutely hate it.
58% of them strongly dislike ads that interrupt their content. If you force them to sit through an unskippable pre-roll video or blast them with a pop-up banner, you are creating active brand resentment.
Which forces marketers to adopt native camouflage.
Yes, native camouflage. The standout tactic from the research is Reddit's conversation placement ads.
Those are brilliant.
Instead of a glaring banner at the top of the page, these ads look and function exactly like organic comments nested within a relevant thread. Because they respect the native architecture of the platform and don't aggressively interrupt the user's reading experience, They yield a 0.41% click-through rate.
And just to put that in context, in digital advertising, a 0.41% CTR for an in-feed placement is exceptional.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It significantly outperforms standard disruptive ads because it feels like a continuation of the dialogue rather than a megaphone shouting over the community.
It proves that you can advertise to people who hate ads, as long as you refuse to look like an ad.
Precisely.
There's one final strategic shift in the sources that I think ties everything we've talked about into a perfect loop. It's a massive reallocation of where marketing dollars are actually being spent. We are seeing a monumental shift from acquisition to retention.
Right. The historical playbook was always skewed heavily toward top-of-funnel acquisition, spending massive amounts of money to acquire a new customer. But the data shows top DTC brands are now dedicating up to 60% of their total budget simply to retaining their existing customer base.
60% is a radical departure from traditional marketing theory. Why pour so much capital into people who have already bought from you?
Because of the social proof engine? Think about everything we've unpacked today for you. A brand's survival depends on peer validation. An existing, deeply satisfied customer is the single most valuable marketing asset a company possesses in 2026.
Right, because they do the marketing for you.
Exactly. If you treat them exceptionally well post-purchase, they transition from buyers to brand advocates. They are the ones writing the meticulous, glowing reviews on Reddit. They are the ones filming the unboxing UGC videos for TikTok.
So by heavily investing in retention, these brands are effectively manufacturing the exact social proof that the next wave of Gen Z buyers requires to make a purchase. They aren't buying ads. They're funding a self-sustaining ecosystem of authenticity.
The flywheel effect is undeniable. Credibility builds community, community generates social proof, and social proof drives discovery.
It's a brilliant architecture.
Yeah.
Let's pull back and look at the whole map we've drawn today. We started by looking at a demographic that has aggressively replaced traditional Google searches with social media discovery.
Yep.
We saw how a deep desire for peer validation and ethical alignment is driving them away from massive marketplaces like Amazon and into the arms of highly specific, community-driven DTC brands.
Right.
And we explored how the seamless integration of visual AI, spatial computing, and zero-party data is collapsing the distance between inspiration and purchase to basically zero.
The central takeaway for you listening right now is that operating in this space requires a complete philosophical reset.
Yeah.
You cannot fake your way into Gen Z's consideration set with polished copy.
No, you really can't.
If your brand lacks authentic community validation, if you aren't being organically discussed in positive terms in UGC videos or on forum threads, you are functionally invisible. The generative AI overviews will not surface you, and the consumer will not trust you. Authenticity is the only algorithm that matters now.
And just when you think you have a handle on how to market existing products to this generation, the sources offer a glimpse into a near future that completely breaks the paradigm again.
Oh, this part is wild.
It really is. We know 76% of consumers strongly prefer personalized experiences. We've talked about AI acting as a curator, helping people find the perfect item from a catalog of billions. But predictive AI is rapidly moving beyond curation into creation. The research points toward the imminent reality of the custom SKU.
The generation of a unique stock-keeping unit that never existed prior to the search query.
Exactly that. Imagine a scenario where a customer doesn't search for a product that is sitting on a warehouse shelf. Instead, they input their hyper-specific needs, their zero-party data, and their aesthetic preferences. In that exact fraction of a second, an advanced AI dynamically designs a brand new, one-of-a-kind product perfectly tailored to that single individual, generating the manufacturing specs on the fly.
It's incredible to think about.
So I leave you with this final thought to ponder. How do you build a marketing campaign or generate social proof when the product itself is being invented by AI at the exact moment the customer decides they want it? It's a wild frontier. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. See you next time.